Welcome back to Layers of Empowerment. This is Lady Ash, and today we're looking at the details, the fine details. We are sharpening up our painting and just giving it some nice finishing touches, getting it ready for the market. So, the details are important in this painting as it is in your life. So, today we'll be talking all about how we add details and just make our painting stand out. So let's do this. So this is the part of the painting where you panic sometimes and say, oh my God, how am I going to finish this? Like, what do I need to do? All the things. Nah, we have to let go at this point. This is a point where you have to trust your instincts. This is a point where you have to believe and know that you know. This is the point when you say, yo, Father G, I want you to finish up this painting for me. And this is the part of the painting that I don't usually record. I'm usually just with myself and just vibing until it comes together. So let's see how we do with this. We have to trust the process. Now I'm going to go start on this side. I'm going to add some depth to the painting. So I'm going to start with this corner. Now acrylic paint dries darker. So after giving it an opportunity to dry, you realize that some of the colors are not as vibrant as they were when we left them when it was wet. So you do have to go back in at this point and add some highlights and shadows to give more contrast. And yes, this is going to take us some time because this is a lovely piece that is huge. Yes, not your 16 by 20. So we'll be doing some of that. I'm going in with like a dark purple and just go through different areas where I need to sharpen up my finish. Yeah, and just adding depth into certain areas, letting go at this point and just trusting God. Sometimes when you have done the work, you have laid the foundation. This is when you have to now trust the process and trust that God will lead you in the right direction. Yeah? Don't lean onto your own understanding. Yeah? We're just going to acknowledge, and just rest in the knowing that, look here, this is going to be fantastic. All right? So we're adding the details. Now, likewise, in your life, you studied for the test, you prepared, and you did everything you can to ensure that you are ready for this examination. Do you panic? No. You're just gonna trust the process and say, look, I have done all that I can, and it's now time for me to do this test. And we just trust the process and say, look here, we're going to remember everything that we studied and all will be well, right? I'm sure you have done that before. Well, it's a kind of same process. Just believe and know that all is well and that the results that you seek will come. Yeah? And you will be pleasantly satisfied. So I'm just going to go through and add some lovely, lovely highlights and shadows. So there are times when I just hold the brush at the very tip just to give myself some leverage. And you notice I'm not using a very small brush as yet. Yeah, I am just adding some depth first to different areas, and then I'll go in with even smaller brushes for the details. So sometimes you just need to pray through whatever you're going through at this point, whatever it is you're working on. So you apply for the loan, you apply for the house, whatever process you're going through, you pray for a spouse if that's your desire. And you don't just go around every day looking and asking the same question, You're gonna just trust the process, knowing that it will come together and that God will give you the desire of your heart. So this is a point in the layer or the process where you just trust, and you hear trust and obey. Just keep believing in yourself, keep doing the work, trusting as you go along. Now, a client engaged me for some work, and they were pretty certain that they wanted me to do the job because it's one of those that requires coaching, and a lot of team building activity don't come with an experienced and qualified coach. So I was pretty certain that they wanted me to do this job. So instead of wondering, I just took the initiative to start the work, start preparing for the job, start doing the research and get ready to hear that yes. Just be prepared for when the time comes. Can't wait until the last minute and you go, oh, I'm never really sure say it a go happen, so I never did. No, just prepare yourself. Start preparing. And you just trust God in the process to know that everything is going to work out. Yeah. So I'm just adding some highlights here. If you notice that our focal point has gotten a boost, and I have added some lines to direct your eyes towards that center point. And it's quite normal in the process that you go in and add different lines when you're adding details. And you go, these are pretty prominent lines at this point, but later on you'll see I'll add thin lines, I'll add different shapes to bring out that focal point. I want your eyes to lean into this space right here. So as you can see, I'm just putting in some lighter areas, different values, because you don't want your eyes to get bored. When you look at this spot, you're supposed to see several different colors and, things moving around. You don't want to be saying, oh boy, this is samey, not very interesting. When you look at it, you're supposed to say, oh my word, look at this. How did she get all these colors in here? All done in the details. And so I am having an appreciation for details more and more in my life, and having an appreciation that the details matter. Now, it's not all your paintings that you're going to give this kind of emphasis, but certainly when you want to bring out the focal point, you want to make sure that you have your highlights. And you remember this area with our bright orange? We're going to go back in with some of that orange. I haven't forgotten my orange right here. And you notice how far away I am. I'm not holding my brush like a pencil. I am leaning into the process and getting some variety of colors in here and trusting. Now, I don't know if you can see, our doily is so beautiful in the background. So when someone comes up closely to this piece, they say, Jesus, oh, what that round is so? You know, oh, what is that under there? And they'll say, oh my, how did you get that? And this is when you smile and say, yes, only God knows. Right? Because as an artist, you can't tell everybody everything. It's not about telling them what you do, it's about letting them have an experience, right? So, yes, because sometimes, just as in life, somebody said, why you lucky, girl? How you manage to get this? Without even understanding that it's not even you. It's the power of God within you that has brought this into existence. And it came about because you trust and you believed and you prayed and you did the work. So a lot of work is in the details. Lots of work in the details. So you have to be patient with yourself. I keep telling you this. You have to be patient with yourself and just know within that all is going to be well. That everything will come together for our good. So just don't panic. Yes? Put a comment as to how you're feeling about the piece now, now that it's coming together. What are your thoughts? I got the name for the piece. It's Convergence. Tell me what you think about that name, Convergence. Convergence of ideas, convergence of layers, convergence. Convergence. Ooh, loving it. Yeah, and yeah, you'll hear me say that a lot. I love it. Because I do. I fall in love with my artwork every single time. And oftentimes when I paint, I put it up in my living space just to admire it and sometimes make changes, but I fall in love with it first and then I'll enjoy it and then I'll let you have it and share it with you. But that joy, yes, I experience that joy first and foremost. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm adding more details and trusting God and trusting the process of painting this work of art. Yeah. So we want our eyes to dance about with some of these lovely colors. But we don't want to take it too far. So you notice here has been pushed back, and we don't want to necessarily bring it forward. Just giving it some highlights here and there, just to kind of lift it. See that? But our focal point is where we want to bring all the attention. This is our phthalo blue. Oh, so pretty. Sharpening up my edges down here. Come on. Adding some depth down here. Not worried too much about it. Now my lines are, I like my lines sometimes a little blurry. I don't necessarily like them super sharp. It's not a picture, it's a painting. It needs to have its own personality. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if you remember these underpaintings, but I'm going to try and give you a close-up shot. But all of these underpainting marks that we had made initially, don't believe that we lost them. You know, they are right here. The details are right in here. Still there. Those initial marks that we made under the sketch, we don't lose them. Perhaps you're not seeing them because it's a close-up shot that you need to see it, but they are still here. All right. So while you're adding the details, this is a time when you practice. I remember when I wrote my book, Life on Canvas, in 2017. It requires me now to speak in front of an audience, and I recognized that I needed to practice. I was living in St. Catherine at the time, and my bestie and I would be on the phone in the mornings, coming over during that time. And that's when I used to practice speaking for 15 minutes nonstop. And believe it or not, he would correct me. He would say, Shawnee just made up a word. You know, it was fun, but I practiced and I practiced until I became better at it. So this is when you practice. You know, nobody becomes an expert overnight. You have to practice, right? I have my own painting technique and I practice. I use my own color story, and I guess that comes naturally, but I still practice as much as I can to become better at what I do. Very important. So practice becomes perfect. We hear that all the time, not true? So when you're doing math and those kinds of subjects, you probably just want to practice a lot. So if you have a presentation to give, don't just wing it. Practice, 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 practice. Because that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to become better. And just do more. So, in order for me to become a better painter, I paint more and I start a process. So, I hold myself accountable to complete these pieces for my YouTube channel. What does that mean? It allows me to become better. So I'm using different values of the shadow color. So I add white to the color, the shadow color, to give me the highlights. So it's the same color, just that I'm changing the value in different areas. So there is a unity, there's unification going on there. Yes, and it's the same brush that I'm using. I haven't changed the brush yet. I'm using the same brush to do all this wonderful thing. All right, loving this. Yeah, sometimes you just lay down the color and you just let it do its own thing. Yeah, and you ask the question, how do you know where to put what? I don't. I just go with the flow. I just go with the flow. All right, so it is coming together nicely. Okay, I'm going to add some more highlights. More highlights here. Use in a different value. Yeah. Love, 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 love. I'm gonna try and tone down here a little. Yeah, yeah. All right. So I'm just slowing down a bit. If you notice, I'm not painting as fast as I would have in other layers. I am slowing down a bit, just taking in what I'm doing here and just trusting the process, paying attention to areas that are calling my name. All right, so I'm going to get a smaller brush and continue to add details. Now I'm going to add some lines, darker lines, lines that will make the piece stand out. I'm going to use a Payne's Gray to add these darker lines. Right, so as the painting comes together, you can see the difference with adding the detail. Letting go, let God, leaning in, uncomfortable because we don't know what the outcome is going to be, but we just keep going at it. This is when the details is when you practice, when you slow down, when you start believing, when you start exercising your faith. Start saying, boy, God, I'm leaving it up to you right now because I know it will come, you will come through for us. So in this process with art, I have put in some highlights, some shadows, and I'm trying to make some subtle transition with the colors so that you feel the movement from the very faded area to the focal point. And then we have supporting areas where your eyes can come back around and we'll have this area standing out right here. I'm going to add a darker Payne's Gray. I'm going to mix it with the purple and see what we have here, and a little blue. All right, so I'm just going to go in now and add lines just to emphasize and sharpen. Yes. And this is when the real details come in. So I'm not going to bore you with all of this. I am just going to work and then come back and show you the finish, all the fine, fine details that I'm putting in. So I'm just going to work on these areas here and we will come back and call it a wrap for details. All right. A close up of the details. So you can still see that the undermarks are still there. Details. is what gives you the interest in this piece. See? The details are fantastic. We've gotten a close up all of these marks that we had made. Then there, we are still in the work of art. If you have been painting along, post your work and tag me. Thank you so much for being a part of this first series and for allowing me to share with you as we are going to add the final layer. We will talk about framing your art and getting it ready for display, varnishing, etc. We just give thanks for the outcome of adding details. It's an ongoing process. And of course, I have to step back, examine, and make sure that I have all the elements of art and that everything comes together as I'm so led. So I may put it up, look at it for maybe a week or two, maybe a couple days. I don't know. And just continue to add details to it so that it feels complete. And I guess I'll know when it's complete and I feel like, yes, this is it. So this piece of work, I hope, has been a blessing to you. This experience has been a blessing to me. It has taught me many things, and I am so happy that I pushed through to get it done. Because when I started out, it was rocky, but to God be the glory. So I'm just looking forward to my next piece of Layers of Empowerment is a series. Please like, please subscribe, share this series with someone. So thank you for watching Layers of Empowerment, the details episode. We're going to come back with our final episode right next. So stay tuned. Please like and subscribe and share this content with someone. It's been a pleasure to share with you my talent and my time and my layers of empowerment. This is Lady Ash. You can visit my website to purchase my work. You can go on to my Motivation Institute to do a class. And you can buy an ebook or two online to support my process and the work that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode.